Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. It's time for another breakfast with Blaha, and today I'm having lean ground beef and Asian stir-fry vegetables. No, that doesn't mean they're in soy sauce, they're just steamed actually. But we all know, as people point out, my food, anything I eat is unhealthy by default, doesn't matter what it is. You know, we have animal stuff in here, so that's going to just kill you. Even though it's a lean and low saturated fat, it's going to kill you. And then the vegetables have fiber and anti-nutrients in them, right? So, I mean, basically, this is pretty much just like cancer and heart attack in a bowl, right? I would be healthier if I just ate McDonald's, I guess, based upon the comments I see sometimes. Well, people are going to go, Jason, you harp on that a lot. I do, because people are that stupid. And you have to remind people how stupid they are with their comments. You really do. Because it's almost funny. It is funny. It's funny when you look at it. And these people need to be made fun of. So, let's come over and talk about grip training. I'm real big on grip training, but one thing I will note, as far as grip work goes, there's a lot of different ways we can approach it. And when I say grip work, I'm talking about just having enough grip to be able to max deadlift elite numbers and stuff. Right? I'm not talking about being a grip specialist to where you compete in actual grip sports, because that requires specialization. But, I mean, realistically, when we start talking about needing supplemental grip work, why do we usually need it? We need it because we're not getting enough grip in our normal day-to-day training. And here's what I'm going to say. When we start looking at how much grip work we want, because I get clients who care about grip a lot, and in lower volumes of training, I'll let them do supplemental grip work. They want to do pinch blocks, they want to do barbell holds, whatever. They can do all those things. Right? I've had phases where I do that stuff. Perfectly reasonable. But here's the other perspective. If you are doing enough pulling without straps, okay, you're doing enough pulling without straps, you probably don't need extra grip work. Right? You probably don't need extra grip work. And again, I'm not talking about just general grip. I mean to have a really strong grip and to be able to deadlift 600 plus pounds without your grip slipping. So what do I mean by a lot of pulling? Like, let's say, for example, perfect example, let's say you're hitting basically our maximum volumes on pulling. I don't care whether it's combinations of rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, whatever. What does maximum volume mean? 10 sets twice a week, right? Because where's our sweet spot for hypertrophy? Our sweet spot for hypertrophy tends to be about 10 to 20 sets a week. If you're on the lower end, 10 to 12 sets of just your pulling like that, okay, we could argue your grip is going to be weak. So what if you're running conjugate that way and you're doing just speed pulls? You're not doing volume deadlifting. And look, as much as I go, man, I mean, speed pulls against heavy bands helps with grip. It doesn't help as much as volume pulling does. I mean, being realistic here, assuming it doesn't shred your hands, it doesn't. I used to say that it did, but look, I've done both now, and I can tell the difference. But I'm not saying it doesn't train your grip, it does. But let's say you're running conjugate with just your speed pulls. Sometimes you're even maxing with straps, and you're only doing 6 sets twice a week on all your pulling. You're doing no shrugs, nothing like that. Okay, you probably would benefit from some grip work. But what happens when you're doing everything that you can double overhand, right, without straps? What if you're doing 5 sets of rows and 5 sets of pull-ups every week, or 5 sets of barbell rows, 5 sets of dumbbell rows both days, and you're doing 20 sets like that with just your grip? All right, what about if you're deadlifting? Let's say you have a day where you come in and you deadlift for volume. Examples. When I mess with some of the 5-3-1 templates and I've done 10s or 5s for back off work on deadlifts without straps, that's a lot of grip work per week. So if we're doing 20 sets of pulling for middle and upper back, completely just hands. Again, and I don't care what combinations it is. It accumulates. All right, we're doing all that. We're doing 4, 5, 6 sets of deadlifts every week without straps. All right, your grip's going to get pretty strong. All right, and then what about other stuff that we implement? What if you do decide to do some shrugs? What if you do shrugs, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, whatever, you don't put straps on that. So you got to double overhand all that. All right, your grip is going to go up real quick. Your grip strength is going to climb to the point where I would say if you're doing extra grip work, you better be adapted to it, because you could end up overtraining your grip if you're not careful. That has to be built gradually, right? What if you just take every exercise that you do and you just straight up raw dog it like that? What if you're doing reverse hypers also? What if you decide to do barbell 45-degree extensions? My bench doesn't work for it. It's not really set up. I don't have the correct range of motion. You do all those double overhand also. Right? If you just start doing all of this pulling and you're doing large amounts of it because you're taking your training volumes up high, you're doing all of it raw. All right? Your grip strength is going to get very, very strong very quickly. And particularly, the moment you start adding any sort of grip implementation to it, you start adding anything with a fat bar, even one exercise a week, I don't even curls, you are now grip specialized. That's kind of the other point I would make too. But when you start adding fat bar work to something like that, you're actually just intentionally training grip at that point. I could almost make the case that adding shrugs in, if you're adding shrugs, that's a good way even to just say, well, I want some extra grip work, but I want some more trap out of it. Right? Because unstrapped shrugs don't tend to beat you up. People get beat up on recovery from shrugs when they do power shrugs with straps. But when you're forced to grip the weight, you just can't do as much weight. You have to be stricter. You don't get the same axial loading. Like adding something like that in will do an enormous amount for your grip if you're double overhanding it raw. So we get to a point where if we do enough pulling, you don't need extra grip work. You don't need it. Not to say you couldn't benefit in some cases, but like with everything else, this comes up. People say, well, how much grip work should I do? Well, I don't know how much grip work is involved in your regular training already. That's kind of going to be the determining factor. All right, that's the most important factor. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.